So today we will discuss the concept of process in operating system. Now what is a process? In my previous class I have already said that a program is a passive entity whereas a process is a active entity. So process is a program in execution. So when you move the program from hard disk to main memory and it is being assigned the CPU, it becomes a process. Process is nothing but a program in execution. It will contain several instructions and the instructions are executed in a sequential fashion. A process includes program counter. As I've already mentioned, it contains several instructions, so program counter will keep a track of which instruction to be executed next. It will contain stack, so that all the local variables, function parameters, return address can be stored in the stack. It contains a data section. The data on which the program will be working on is the data section. So let us look at how does a process looks in memory. So if you look at this particular diagram, you will see there are four sections: text, data, heap and stack. So coming to the first section, text, the program call is stored in this particular section and that is why the name text section. Next, the data section contains global variable. So the variables which are global or declared global in the program will be contained in the data section. Next is the stack section, which will contain your temporary data which includes function parameters, return address and local variables. And finally the heap will contain memory dynamically allocated during runtime. So for example, we have a array which we are allocating at runtime, then it will be stored in the heap, and both the stack and the heap can grow. So this arrow shows that the stack can also grow in this direction and the heap can also grow in this direction. So sufficient memory is kept so that they don't overlap. Now let us look at a example process tree in Unix system. So if you look at this particular example, if you see, init is the first process to run in an Unix system. Init stands for initialization. There are several other processes if you see. Then there are login process, there are thread process, there is also scheduling process, there is again born again shell, Emacs, the editor, and there are several other processes that will be running, but that will be running after this init process. So init process is the first process that is started during booting of the computer system and it is running until the system is shut down. Now let us look at process state. So there are several states in a process. So the first state is the process is being created. So when the program is taken to the memory and it becomes a process, and now the next state is running state. When the CPU is assigned to the process, it goes to the running states where the instructions of the process will be executed. Next state is the waiting state. The process is waiting for some event to occur. Now in this case, what type of event? Suppose one of the instruction in the process is about input output, so the process will wait for input output. Now it cannot execute in the CPU, so in that case it will be executing, or it will be needing this input output device, or it may be needing the input output from the user. So in that case it will be waiting for the input output to complete. So that is why this is the waiting state, process waiting for input output to complete. Ready state. Now the process is waiting to be assigned to the processor. This is one state where the process will be assigned the processor or the CPU where it will be executing. And finally the process, when it is completes its execution, this is the final state which is called terminated. Now let us look at the diagram how it works. So if we look at this particular diagram, we see that when the program is brought into the memory, it becomes a process and it is called the new state. Now from the new state, it is admitted to a queue. As there will be several processes running in the system, the process is admitted to the queue, and according to its number, it will be getting its chance to be executed in the CPU. So it is admitted, then it goes to the ready state, and the queue is called ready queue. Now when the time for the process comes, then it will be scheduled for using the CPU. Now it will be using the CPU and it goes to the running state. Now as I have mentioned, there can be a possibility of an input output event. So if there is an input output instruction in the program, it was currently executing in the CPU, so it will go to the waiting state for input output to complete. So when the input output completes, it goes to the ready state again. Again the scheduler will put it in the running state. So this process will be repeated several times if there are multiple input output instructions. So every time it is given the CPU, it is goes to the running state, and then if there input output instruction, it goes to the waiting state. Input output completes its execution, then it goes to the ready state. Now there is also a possibility that in between there is an interrupt from the system. So in that case also it may go to the ready state if there is an interrupt from the system. And when it completes its execution, it goes to the terminated state. So this is how the 5 process states work: new to ready, then to running, then to terminated if there are no interrupt or input output, but if there is an interrupt, it goes to the ready state. If there is a input output, it again go to waiting state, completes the input output, and then goes to the ready state again. And this cycle will be repeated several times before the process completes. Now let us look at the concept of process control block. So associated with each of the process, there are certain information which is stored in a block, and that block is nothing but process control block. So if at any point of time you want to know something about the process, or the operating system wants to know anything about the process, this process control block will give a clear picture about the status of the process. So the first one is process state. So it may contain the 5 states just I have mentioned now: new, ready, running, waiting, and terminated. Next is the program counter, which keep tracks of the next instruction to be executed. Then the CPU register. So there are actually several registers. If you have already studied in computer organization and architecture, there are index register, general purpose register, stack pointers, conditional code. Also CPU scheduling information. This includes process priority, pointer to scheduling queues, and other scheduling parameters. So we'll discuss the scheduling algorithm and scheduling information later in the chapter. Next is memory management. The information includes your base and limit register, page table, segment tables, and memory system used by the operating system. Then is your accounting information. This includes the CPU time, time limits assigned to the process for execution. It will also include process numbers and so on. Finally, input output status. This information includes the list of input output devices that are being allocated to the process, and also in case there are certain files also which are being used by the process, so those files information will also be there in case of input output status information. So if we look at the diagram, a process control block looks something like this: pointer, process state, process number, program counter, register, memory limits, list of open files, and more. So these are some of the information that is being stored in the process control block to keep track of the process.